Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about Blue is the Warmest Color, and this movie came out in 2013, and it was on my list of movies to watch, and I heard that this movie was supposed to be good. I was curious about it, and I saw that it was 3 hours long, and like all long movies, the 3 hour runtime was a bit intimidating to me, because that can very easily be ruined by a story that's not all that interesting. And while I do feel as though the movie was too long by the end of the day, and some scenes could either be cut shorter or cut out entirely, I didn't feel the runtime too much, luckily, and I had a good time overall. And the movie did look nice. There's lots of close shots in this movie. In any other movie, I would be complaining that I can't see the environment or like where characters are. I want to see the location a bit better, but in this movie, it was a lot less distracting. Not because I was thinking, oh, I want to see the location. I was more or less just thinking of Black Swan a bit more. It was making me think of that a bit more and to just really focus on these characters, and it wasn't that distracting for me. I was just thinking of Black Swan, and I'll have to rewatch Black Swan as to the differences between why it works there and not other movies. And I would really need to focus deeply to figure out what really makes it okay here, but not in other movies. It's really difficult for me to describe, sadly, but that's just what I was thinking while watching this. And also, I do think this movie is a good character study on the main character and her journey, and she just is trying to figure out who she is and what she likes and all these sorts of things that make a movie interesting to watch. And it's all in this movie for sure, and that's probably what kept me engaged. Although I will say one tiny criticism that I do have is that I do like the first and third hours better than the second hour of this movie. I just feel as though the most interesting aspects of this movie are just in those 2 hours, the first and the last hour. And in the middle, not to say that it was bad, it was just repeating information that was already communicated beforehand. That's always something that gets in the way in certain movies, sadly. And I loved the choice to have no musical score for the film, and it was making me think of a Michelle Haneke film. And there's some music, but it's coming from the film, as in like characters playing musical instruments in the movie. Not to say that there's a bunch of musicians in the film, but rather that's just something that occurs in the background, or a character is playing a song in the background. Like, that's more or less what I mean when I talk about music being in the film, not a score composed for the film. And this movie is mostly dialogue. Not really much happens in this film, and it's just characters talking. And for the first hour or so, it's just characters talking and sharing a connection. And that's what really works about the movie for me. It's just this romance that blossoms, for a lack of a better word. And it was interesting, and the characters felt unique, and they were interesting to watch, and I wanted to see where things would eventually wind up. And I did like the tone of the movie. It was a few different things, but it never once felt conflicting with itself. And everything in this movie, when it came to the characters and how they interact with each other from memory, just felt natural and never once felt cartoonish or unrealistic to me, at least not to my memory. And without spoiling anything, I do love what our main character goes through and what she eventually experiences and how she gets to the end of the movie. That stuff I found to be very interesting. But I did have some issues with this movie, and most of those issues just revolve around me feeling, okay, this movie was too long, and I did watch it on Netflix, and the entire time I was basically just watching it 1.5 times speed, simply because I felt as though I wouldn't really miss a whole lot if I did that. And unfortunately, I was right, and there is just some wasted time in this movie. Like, I do also want to mention, just because I watch a movie in 1.5 times speed on Netflix, it doesn't mean a movie is not going to be boring to me simply because I'm not watching it at 1.0. time speed. It's just something that I felt like, yep, I feel as though my time could be spent better elsewhere. And despite it being 3 hours, I just don't feel as though that runtime is justified. And I just felt as though it was something I probably should do, because just sitting at 3 hours is just not something I was willing to put up with. So that's why I did that. By the end of the day, it's your choice and it's your experience, but I do feel as though I do have to be honest with what I did during my experience, because if I watch it at 1.0 times speed, I might feel differently about this movie. So I just felt as though there was like some empty space, as though it needed to be filled, and that was a way to do it, and I did it. And there were lots of sex scenes in this movie, and normally I'm fine with that, but in this movie, they were going on for like at least 5 minutes every time, and I was like, okay, that's enough. We don't need to be seeing this so much to the point where you're no longer learning anything about the character. It's just being shown for the sake of, oh, aren't you interested in what we're showing now? We caught your attention, right? And that's ultimately what it turned into, and I just found it to be very distracting. And when this movie took place in a classroom, I felt as though some of those scenes, not all of them, but some of them were kind of unnecessary, and the only purpose of them was to highlight what the main character was experiencing or going through. And sure, that's important, but I don't feel as though it was necessary to do so in a classroom, and could have been communicated in a way where it wasn't taking place in a classroom and could have just been a bit shorter and approached differently in a way that wasn't as slow or boring in a sense. And I do appreciate some aspects of this movie on paper better than in execution, but I will say this much. I'm not saying that the execution of a lot of these things are bad. It's just that some things I see it playing out much better in my head than it did in the actual film itself. And it might sound like I'm talking around in circles a lot in this review, but I just want to be clear as to what I mean by a lot of things and what I'm talking about. It's just very difficult at times, especially when you're communicating certain things for the first time and you just have no idea how to properly communicate it. And that's pretty much what is happening here. And overall, I did enjoy the film. And will I watch it again? Possibly. I'll check out more of this director's films. I have no idea how to pronounce their name, but it was good. Will I see it again? Probably. It was good, and I would recommend that you check it out. To just be mindful of what you're getting into. So with all that being said, I'm going to give Blue is the Warmest Color a 7 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos. As always, if you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below what you thought Blue is the Warmest Color. And my social media links, they will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see you when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for Blue Beetle. So look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.